If you've been on one of my workshops before, you'll know they are very interactive. So I need you to participate with me. Otherwise, you're just not going to get as much value as you possibly could do from this hour that we've got together. I will be doing a bit of a Q&A at the end, but this is really focusing in on not about like how to go viral on LinkedIn. It's not about how to get 1 million impressions. It's not about that whatsoever. What I'm going to focus in on today is how we generate business from it. So how we fill our pipeline from stranger to connection to prospect to customer, the journey that we take that all of our people through, whether it's inside of our academy, whether it's inside of our agency, no matter how you work with us. This process I've spoken about pretty much every day now for around about 2 years. And it's tested and it's proven. So please, if you've got notepads handy, please take notes as you go. If you have any questions at all, like I say, just ask them as we go through. So I have 3 specific aims for this workshop. They're really straightforward and simple. Number 1 is to provide you with as much advice, guidance, and information as I possibly can. So I don't hold anything back. If you ask me a question, you'll get the full answer. At the end, I'm going to introduce you to our social selling and LinkedIn Academy. And like I said, consistently throughout this, I'm going to keep prompting you to ask, but I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can. So if you have anything that you want to ask me, I create lots of free content on YouTube. There's lots of stuff out there from me that's really been speaking in about this stuff in a lot of detail. But again, I do these sorts of sessions normally once a month. So please make sure that you ask anything as you go through. Now, what I'd love to know, purely because although some of the content's quite similar, in terms of these workshops, I like to customize them to the people that show up. So to reward you, some of you will watch this on the replay afterwards. Some of you are here today. What I'd love to know is, what is it that you do? So are you a consultant? Do you run your own business? Are you an employee of a company? If so, what is it that you do? Like for me, we tend to have a lot of service-based businesses that come into this. Due to my own property background, I have a lot of property people that tend to come. And we have lots of coaches and consultants as well. And it seems to be actually looking through the chat box here. And we've got marketing consultants, we've got an infidelity recovery coach, we've got marketing agencies, we've got a lot of marketing people here today, which is cool. And we spend lots of time consulting with marketing agencies and people looking to grow, which is great. And what I'm going to do with this information that you're providing me here is make sure that I kind of portray it and put it in a way which is going to be easiest for you to understand. And the information that I've kind of collected today has been gathered from the thousands of conversations that I've had with people. So what I've noticed, because of the amount of time I spend having strategy sessions with people, I speak to people at networking events when I go, and social media is a hot topic, right? Everybody wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to know more about it. And what I've noticed from the conversations that I've been having, and also from the work that we do with our clients, is that there are some real key reasons why people fail. And these reasons haven't changed since I've started running workshops. The reasons have stayed the same. And what I'd love for you to do actually, as I read these out, is just kind of have a self-reflection bit of time and work out which one, if you were going to pick one out of these 5, probably most resonates with you. So the first one is a real simple one actually, but sometimes quite often overlooked. It's the fact that the activity that you're doing online was no longer relevant. And therefore what happens is you're no longer standing out. So the message that you're putting out there isn't landing, it isn't connecting. And some symptoms of that could be low engagement. And so number 1 is all about relevancy and how do you stand out in an ever-growing market. Number 2 is that you're probably just not worth following in the first place. And that one can be quite a hard one to admit. And what happens is, because your profile isn't standing out online, you end up blending in. And that was something that I suffered with right at the beginning, was the fact that when I was posting, my content was being ignored. However, when I was out networking, I found that actually I was getting a lot of attention. Like I was having great conversations with people, and that was where we picked up a lot of our business. And the difference was the fact that when I was appearing online, unfortunately, I was showing up as the most boring version of myself. And when I was appearing offline, I was showing up as the real version of me. And therefore, number 2, although it's a hard one to admit, actually, if you can be aware enough to realize that that is you, then actually that's where you can start to take the steps in a much faster direction. Number 3 is that you just don't have a big enough audience. So this is something that loads of people will relate to, I know. You know you're great at what you do. You have a great product, a great service. However, you just don't have enough people to talk to. You're not having enough calls booked in. You're not having enough conversations. And number 3 is the one that a lot of people connect with. Number 4 is the one that I find the most sexy. You may find a little bit boring. However, the process part to what we do is what makes it work. And therefore, if you don't have a predictable and sustainable process that actually leads through from, again, like I said at the beginning, from stranger to customer, you're going to be missing out on opportunity. There will be money being left on the table if you don't have one. So number 4 is all about having a process in place. And then number 5 is the fact that you're doing most likely all the activity that people on the internet tell you to do. You're posting content, you're building your network, you're engaging, leaving comments, you're sending messages, you're doing all the stuff that you believe is right. However, your strategy is actually based on the hope of someone reaching out to you, that someone's finally going to land inside your inbox and send you a message saying, hey, I want to work with you. And that one is quite, again, a tough one to admit for some. But what has happened over the last few years is the fact that you've had so much advice shoved down your throat that actually you've just tried lots of things over and over and over again, hoping that eventually it will change. And the reality is that it's the foundational stuff that you've not got quite right yet if you're not seeing the results. So with that being said, what I'd love to know from you, if it was number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or maybe it's all of them, which one most relates to you right now? No one can see your answers, it's only me. But what I'd love to know is, whereabouts are you at right now? What are the ones that really stand out and pop to you? So we've got a few 5s coming in straight away. We've got a number of 1s coming in, which is cool. I've not had a 4 yet. Okay, we've had a few 4s come through now. Okay, great. There might be a bit of a delay. But we say 4 tends to be the one that most people kind of forget or alleviate, really. So looks like a lot of people are saying all of them as well, which is great. So there's a good bit of variety on here. And the good news is the fact that today's session has been based on all 5 of those. So today's session, this is our framework. This is how we teach what we do. And where I'm going to really dive a bit deeper into today are those 3 parts there that I've highlighted. So number 1 is going to be really focusing in on clarity. So it's going to be going into 3 specific things that you need to get right before you really start using social media. Number 2 is then going to be the activity, so the connection. So the stuff that you're already doing, but I'm going to be talking to you about how you can do it slightly differently to get results today. And then number 3 is then about how do you turn all of that activity to creating a mindset change, which ends up in people wanting to buy from you. So that process is all connected. I've split it into 3 parts. And just to cover off this right at the front end, because I don't really spend too much time talking about myself in this, but the stats are there for you to read on the slide. Like, we are tested and proven this process over and over again. And when me, Nick, and Sam decided to start Pipeline 44, we came up with that vision. It's to simplify business growth. For me, there are so many people talking about social media out there that actually aren't really practicing what they're preaching. And so everything that I'm going to talk to you about today is stuff that I'm doing right now. So how we've actually got people to this event, how we use content to be able to build relationships, how we send messages to drive conversations. And I'm going to tell you this right from the off. None of this is rocket science. It's all straightforward. If you hear marketing being complicated, unfortunately, they're not the right people to be listening to. You need to simplify this stuff. And if you want to connect with me online, sometimes I do free reviews of people's profiles and content. I would say connect with me, don't follow me. So if you bring up your phone and hover over that QR code, it would take you to my profile. Lots of people will ask you to follow them. I want to connect with you purely because I want to see your content as well. So if you just take a scan of that QR code, connect with me at the end of this session, I'm going to go through and I'll accept you all as we go through. That's a little bit about me. Again, I'm going to showcase to you today through the results that we get, like how good we are at what we do. But predominantly, this session is about giving you what you need. This is the information that you need to be able to get results quite quickly. So where I'm going to start with today is answering that key question. Why on earth should you be focusing on LinkedIn right now? I personally use every platform pretty much other than TikTok. And what I've noticed through Facebook, through Instagram, specifically those 2 platforms, is that organic reach is reducing a lot. So the ability to be able to get in front of people via content for free is reducing day by day. I have around about 38,000 followers now on Instagram. I've built that over the last 5 years. And I get more reach and more interaction from LinkedIn with only 15,000 followers than I do on Instagram. That is due to an algorithm change that happened a couple of years ago. And with this, there are some key fundamental reasons why I love LinkedIn in combination with YouTube. Actually, those two provide us with the best results for the time that we put into it. And with LinkedIn specifically, the one thing that I love about it is the ability for you to be able to build a targeted audience at speed. With Instagram, you can go and follow someone, right? On Facebook, you can go and like a Facebook page or join a Facebook group. On YouTube, you can subscribe to someone, but that doesn't automatically mean that they're then going to follow you back or subscribe back or then like your page back, right? That's not how these platforms work. On LinkedIn, if you use the connect functionality, you can go out there and start building an audience at speed. And we all know this, right? If you want to be known on social media, right, you've got to get out there and you've got to start connecting. The more people that know who you are and what you do, and more importantly, how good you are at doing it, the more opportunity you're going to get. And the reality is, like I said right at the beginning on that mistake slide, is that most people know they are good at what they do. Most people have a good product and service, but they just don't have enough people asking about it or finding out how great it really is. And when I review accounts, I must review now probably 5 or 6 of these a week, looking at people's LinkedIn accounts, YouTube accounts, looking at people's email marketing sequences. And actually, when you look at the activity on these profiles on LinkedIn specifically, most people just aren't doing the basics well enough right at the beginning. Like, we're talking button pressing here. There's nothing specifically difficult about it. And LinkedIn, above any other platform, gives you this opportunity. So if you're not maxing your invitations out right now, something so basic, something that everyone should be doing, everyone can do, then this is that virtual kick up the backside to kind of do it. So when you start building your audience up, the second thing LinkedIn gives you is what I mentioned a little bit earlier around organic reach. So we all know that if we want to be able to generate business online, especially in front of strangers, we need to be credible. The more credible you get, the easier business and lead generation becomes. Because guess what? Your word of mouth referrals are going to go up. The number of inbound inquiries are going to go up. You'll get more people downloading your stuff. And with that, what this platform provides you is the opportunity to be seen. And I mentioned Instagram, I mentioned Facebook, Twitter, the same thing, right? Reach is reducing month on month. But the reality is that with LinkedIn right now, people are spending more time on this platform than ever before. I never really used to use LinkedIn on the weekend or in the evenings. Now I'm finding actually it's the second platform. I'm addicted to Instagram, right? I don't use it for business as much as I used to, but in terms of as a consumer, I use Instagram a lot. That is the platform that I use the most in terms of scroll time on. But for business, LinkedIn is the one where I spend pretty much, other than YouTube, all my time now. And the reason is because it's so easy to get in front of people. And when you become someone that's actually worth following, the exposure that you can create is literally incredible. And the more credible you become, everybody wants inbound leads, right? Everyone wants people coming to them saying, I want to work with you. It makes the whole sales conversation easier, doesn't it? But however, like, unless you become someone worth following, someone that's going to start building an audience up, unfortunately, you're just not going to get the amount that you need to be able to sustain your business's growth. And then the third reason is the fact that LinkedIn as a platform, when you look at lead generation and business development, gives you more tools than any other platform that's out there. And most don't even know that they're there. Most people just think LinkedIn is Sales Navigator, and that's it. Most people pay a fortune for Sales Nav and then don't use it. Out of interest, on today, how many of you are paying for Sales Nav or Premium? Just put yes if you are, because lots of people I know are spending money on these platforms and they're not really utilizing them. You may be building lists or building your network, but do you really know how to use it? Like, the reality is that over time you can learn these skills, but unless you start to deep dive and really experience what this platform has to offer, you're going to be missing out on opportunity. The amazing thing is that I tested this for over 3 months, and the free version of LinkedIn, and making sure this process worked, and it did. I've tested it on the premium version, and again, it worked. And Sales Nav, it works. You can do this without spending any money on these premium products. However, they do give you some advantages. But the tools are endless, whether it's newsletters, whether it is going to be Sales Navigator, whether it is going to be the ability to be able to prospect, or whether it is LinkedIn events. LinkedIn events right now are the most underrated thing I've ever seen on the internet. Like when it comes to this event specifically, I'm going to show you the numbers. But now, over the last 2 and a bit years of running these things, we've generated over 11,000 leads for free, right? Literally zero ad spend. Now, I used to run a lot of Facebook and Instagram advertising. I dabbled in YouTube advertising. And to be able to get somebody to register for Zoom, it used to cost me around about £4. Now, I don't run them currently anymore. I turned them off because it started to get a little bit too expensive. But to be able to get 11,000 people registered for Zoom, you're looking at around about a £41,000 cost. Now, that's not any like even getting people to show up to these things. That's just the registration. In reality, like when it comes to these things, you expect around about a 50% show up rate. So it's going to cost you 40 odd grand for 5,500 people to show up and listen to you. For me, that's not then going to guarantee a sale. And what I believe is that people go into paid advertising too quickly, especially when there are these free tools out there that you can use. This was one that we ran back in 2021. This was one that Sam ran. It was one of our first ones that we ran together. And we got over 1,000 people declaring interest. That's not 1,000 registrations, right? There are, as you will have noticed, when you go through to the LinkedIn event, you have to click that link to be able to register. You get normally around about a 25% conversion rate from that. So from that event, we got around about 250 people saying that they were interested and then registering through to Zoom. And again, even today's one, right? This is with a 3-week run-in with me and my team working on this event. Just by button pressing, right? Literally, we're pressing buttons. It's not difficult, but you've got to build your audience in the background to give yourself enough volume to get people in. And I'm going to show you some of the stats in terms of how quickly you can build your audience when you get your head down. But 800 people have said yes and declared interest in this. We've got nearly 150 people live at the moment coming onto this now, and that will grow as today's session goes on. And with all of that, like what I really want to relay home is the importance of taking advantage of the opportunity now. LinkedIn's organic reach, you may have noticed, right? Let me know if you have seen a reduction in organic reach, your impressions reducing recently. Just put a yes if you've seen that recently. I have. These platforms are changing, right? The opportunity you need to start taking advantage of before they absolutely spam this platform full of ads. It's going to happen. Every platform does it. I think we're around about 18 months before we see impressions drop by another 15 to 20%. Like I used to be able to reach 100,000 people a week. Now I'm down to around about 60,000. It's a big drop, right? But it's still opportunity there to be able to get it. And what I want to go into right now is the first big section of this. And this is the foundations that I mentioned. Michael, good to see you. And it's all around how to find the right message, how to stay relevant, and actually position yourself as a true authority in your space. Unfortunately, most people, from my experience, are setting themselves up to fail because they're unclear on 3 specific things. Number one, what it is that they're selling. So the product that they're putting out there, I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail in a second, but the product that they're putting out there no longer is sexy. It's no longer landing and connecting with their target market in the way that it used to. Number 2 is that the audience that they're building either isn't big enough or doesn't really care too much, right? So again, we're going to look at how do you build the audience, the right audience in the fastest way. And number 3 is the language that they're using, the message that they're putting out there to be able to connect with their audience, right? So these are the 3 core things in clarity that you need to get right before really you'll see the big benefits from a platform like LinkedIn or any other social media platform out there. I want to take you through this and show you how it works. So let's talk about the product and the offer first. Remember, if you've got questions, I will check it periodically, but there's a lot of them coming through, so I may leave a few of them until the end. With the product and the offer, most people, when I look at, again, with this, I spend lots of time reviewing people's services and how they sell them. And what they're selling tends to be, especially coaches right now, is just their time. And the problem is if people these days, unfortunately, don't buy time. And I've got an example of this that I'm going to show you in a second. So if you are, what you need to think about is, okay, well, how can I look at packaging up my time and the information that's up here into something visual that people are going to look at and go, that's actually something tangible that I want to spend money in? Because the reality is, unless you are someone that is at the top of their game, getting word of mouth referral after word of mouth referral, if you start selling time, All you're going to have to do is sit there on calls, convincing and persuading people to work with you. Because there's no real unique difference, because what one coach or service is saying that they do, another person is saying the exact same thing. I tell you, one type of business that is out there completely getting this horrendously wrong right now are website development companies. People that say they build your website for you. They are 10 a dozen. There are hundreds of thousands of website building companies out there. How on earth do you choose which one to use when they all say they do the exact same thing? Oh, we do SEO, we do pay-per-click, we'll build your homepage, we'll do the about page. It's like, great, but actually what makes you different? And the way that you've got to package up your offer is the way to stand out from the crowd. And yes, your personality makes a difference, but there are so many ways that you can do things differently. There's a company called ClickFunnels out there, right? They basically are a landing page software. However, they packaged on information and guidance and consulting alongside the landing page software to be able to make themselves really stand up. That company is now doing hundreds of millions of dollars per year because they've found a way to package up what they're doing differently. This is the same thing in every business. And therefore, what we need to identify is, what are people really buying in your industry right now? When was the last time you took a step back and actually had a look at what other people do? How are they selling it? How are they packaging it? This stuff is absolutely critical to your success. And therefore, we need to spend at least 10 minutes having a quick look. And when you do that, you can start to customize your offer to the point where people, after watching or listening to you, respond with, oh my, I really need that. Or even better, I want and need it. Because when you do, you no longer then have to convince and persuade, because they're already in. They get it. They know that it's different. And therefore, my question to you is, what can you offer that's going to do this? And I think the best way of being able to explain this to you is to talk to you about what I did. So back in February 2020, I used to have an Instagram agency. That was the focus point, right? I told you I've transitioned from Instagram to LinkedIn. But I used to do like in-house trainings like this, little masterclasses for people. I used to sell them for 500 quid a ticket. And it was a slog, right? It was a 2-day masterclass training you on how to use Instagram. Now, don't get me wrong, people loved the sound of it. People weren't buying it. The reality is, when I took a step back, 2-day masterclasses were what lots of other social media people were doing. But the problem was no one wanted to spend 2 days in a room talking about Instagram. No one really cared about it. What they wanted was to know how to build a following and how to do it quickly. So in February 2020, that was my last ever in-house workshop that I ran, and I switched it to a challenge. So you can see in March 2020 there, I switched it to a challenge, which was how to gain 1,000 followers in 30 days. Right, you start on the 13th of July, and I went about my way of being able to do it. Out of interest here, right, in the chat box, can you see how switching that product, it's the same material, the same training, but switching it from a 2-day masterclass to how to gain 1,000 followers in 30 days, just packaging it up differently has made a difference? Just give me a yes if you can see how that made the difference, because it's really, really important. And the reality, again, of this situation was I was slogging away to try to make 2.5 grand, pretty much selling 5 tickets a month, to suddenly doing a month in April where we did just over 25 grand. Like this stuff, you can see the spike just by switching up the offer. The spike in sales went up because everyone wanted it. I found myself on calls having to try and monitor how many people were buying from us, because you know what? What I was selling was somehow sexy again. And it was the best ever thing that I did, because it enabled me to realize that actually, although you've got information and you've got skill, unless you can find a way to use the language which really hits your ideal target market in the right way, you'll always be struggling to sell. This was the same thing with Sasha, right? This is a time for money example here, right? I knew how Sasha was. She was a personal assistant, a virtual assistant, and she was mine. So like, I used her. She was absolutely incredible at what she did. I met her at a networking event. Her offer at the time was packaged by the hour, which led, by the way, does anyone actually sell their services by the hour right now? If you do, can you put the word hour for me? Because this is really relevant. Just comment hour in the chat box for me. But her offer was packaged by the hour and led to consistent price battles. Like, she was going up against other agencies that are offering similar services, other virtual assistants offering similar services. And what happens is you end up getting into this discounting war. Some of you here, there's a number of you that have said hour, right? Like you will be getting into this discounting war where someone's offering £20 an hour. Okay, well, I'll do it for 18. Or they're doing it for 17. I'll do it for 15. And before you know it, you work for minimum wage. And this is a huge issue in this space right now. So what we did was take the step back and repackage what she did. We switched her to a retainer-based high-value package offer, and then we got her in the right rooms. So we spent time networking in the right places. We looked at our online activity to mirror it. And Sasha, by just getting those things right, tripled her business in 4 weeks. Now, Sasha was a small business at the time, but again, you can see there from that WhatsApp message that she sent, if I convert that early next week, that'll be 45 grand in 2 weeks, just by switching and getting herself in the right place. Scrap the hourly rates. Find a way to create retainer-based high-value packages. And then from there, you'll start to stand out as something that's different. It's actually not that difficult. You just got to do it. Now, the second part to it is then your audience. Okay, so I know this. I have 15,000 followers on LinkedIn. We have an email list, which is over 10,000 people. We have an Instagram account that's got over 38,000 people. And I still don't think I have a big enough audience. I want to be bigger. Okay, and this is so simple to do, but most just aren't growing their network fast enough to fulfill the volume that they need. And people really are overcomplicating this. I do 3 things. And this is something to write down, by the way, if you've got your notepads out. But number 1 is to connect on any platform possible. I said that you can go out there and follow people. I do. I go out there and follow my ideal clients on every platform that I can. On LinkedIn, though, I connect with them. I click the 3 dots and I go there and I press connect. That's one way. That's the administration part. That's the button pressing. Part 2 of that is then the collaborations. So I spend lots of time on interviews with other people. So I go onto other people's podcasts. I will also interview people for my podcast. I create YouTube videos with other people. I will tag people into my content. What I'm looking for here is to get exposure to their audiences by doing work with other people. And again, that is a really, really cool way to accelerate everything. I built a lot of my audience at the beginning by going out there and speaking at different events, right? For free, I used to go to networking events and offer to speak about my subject. I used to ask people to follow me, like this online event here. At the beginning, I asked you to go and follow me. It's one way of building your audience quickly, okay? And then number 3 is through your content. So content is where lots of people spend their time. I don't actually spend that much time creating content because I don't get the best return for my money. I'm better off putting my time in other areas to get a better return. However, I post 2 to 3 times a week and I get it out there to be able to stand out and showcase kind of who I am and what I believe in. And getting those things right, when you then start to track your number, becomes really, really addictive. And this is what we do with all of our academy clients, right? We get them to track. And Nick is my business partner in Pipeline 44, and we did this with him. So this was 5 months ago, you can see this post. This was the sort of content that Nick was posting. 20 odd reactions, 4 comments, graphic type content. This is a top tip for you. If you're posting still graphics like this right now, please stop. They don't work anymore. If you want to go down a graphic-based content type, go into document type posts, use a platform like Canva, create your document type posts and they'll perform a lot better. Graphics like this statically, unfortunately, won't work. Blair has actually commented in the chat box saying, my business is insurance, the epitome of not sexy. Blair, we've had some great results in the insurance sector and you'll see why as you go through this, because I guarantee when you look at this, it's not about talking about insurance. That's the worst thing that you can do. It's about really focusing in on other areas, which you'll find out as we go through this. So stay tuned. But Nick was posting this sort of content. And what we decided to do was switch it up. And the stuff that we started to really focus in on was the stuff that Nick was really passionate about. Now, again, you can see the difference in reactions, right? 20 reactions here, 140 reactions here. That kept going, right? 211 reactions in the next one. You can see the sort of headlines that we're using. They're disruptive. They're there to grab the attention, right? We're talking about topics that are really going to drive conversation because that's what we need to do on this platform. We need to be seen. We need to be remembered. And again, if you go to Nick's profile, you'll be able to see this type of content there. And again, you can see 347 reactions, 196 comments is the thing here. But again, you can see the different types of images that are being used, the way that headlines are changing. You just need to go and study Nick's profile if you want to see the difference that's here. However, the difference this made to his audience tracking, because we track our number every single day, you can see that on the 11th of May, connection target was 4,850. His total, though, was 4,755. Nick is now over 15,000 followers. He's overtaken me because he's been doing this so well consistently over a period of time. Nick posts 2 to 3 times a week. So if there's anyone out there that's saying that you need to post every single day or you need to be doing this, unfortunately, they don't really understand what they're talking, because it can be done without it. Your time is better spent like working on your business, looking at growing it, rather than trying to think of something to post every single day. I know people that are spending hours trying to think of content in hope that it's going to give them some form of difference. Now, if you are posting every single day and you're seeing great returns from doing so, I'm not telling you to stop. But all I'm saying is if you're posting right now and getting nothing from it, rather than keep going, stop and have a think. Look at how you could do things differently, because that's where you're going to start to see the results. Now, this is an old screenshot. I think Nick's at like 15,800 followers now from where we've got to with his. But you can see here, just from like comments inside of our academy, just by focusing on it, you can double it. Like Jack doubled his connection count in 1 week from 95 to 211. I think Nancy grew from 1,400 connections to 2,030. And this is just stuff that's really easy to do. That's just literally by clicking the buttons, not even thinking really about collaborations and being able to connect with people in that way. Does that make sense, by the way? Does the audience bit make sense? Just give me a yes if it does in terms of speed. Like, it's simple, right? However, I know some of you might not be doing this. I just wanted to remind you of it. Great stuff. The final bits of clarity is then around message. So when I look at most people using social, I kind of covered this at the beginning, right? But I want to emphasize on it a bit more. Most people are following advice from people that fail to provide the context. So when I first started in business, I still am a big fan, like a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you've heard of Gary V at all, for people that are on here. But Gary speaks about documenting the journey a lot. And he also talks about creating hundreds of pieces of content a day and that sort of thing. Now, the reality of the situation here is the fact that someone like Gary is so far ahead in terms of the majority of people that are on here right now. There may be a few people that have got similar sized businesses to Gary, right? But the majority of you are probably kind of doing like between 50 grand to £1 million, right, in that. And that's kind of how it works. But like with Gary's content, unfortunately, if you remove his business success, so if you remove like Wine Library, if you remove VaynerMedia from it, Gary's just someone else on the internet telling you that content's important to do. The reason Gary's content does so well is because of the success that he's got in business already. So the reality is, yes, document your journey. It's really important. Yes, put some content out there. But if you don't have a team of 10 people out there repurposing your content, capturing your content for you, then taking the advice of 100 posts per day, unfortunately, it's just completely and utterly ludicrous. And it's not possible for the majority of you. I know a lot of you on here will be like, yeah, I know that already. I don't do it. However, there'll be some of you that take this advice and compare and go, well, I'm never going to be able to do that because I haven't got the time. And that is 100% true. The reality, again, is, I keep saying it, you don't need to spend hours and hours creating loads of content. You just need to do the basics really well. This is something that people get told over and over and over again. Just add loads of value, right? Give all your information away for give it away for free. This is something that I got told. And what I realized was that giving value on this platform, I did a post on it actually. Ironically, I did a post about giving value and that it doesn't get the benefits that it should only a few days ago. And it's been my best performing posts like for ages. With no value in it at all, just a strong opinion. But value doesn't get any impressions because no one's on LinkedIn for value. As much as people say that they are, if you're looking for information, let me ask the question. If you're looking for information on the internet, you're looking for advice and education, what two platforms? There's two platforms that everyone goes to. What are they? One is the biggest video software on the planet. The other is the biggest search engine in the planet, right? Google and YouTube. Every time, that's where people are going for information. We're not scrolling on LinkedIn looking for info. What we're looking on LinkedIn is to connect with great people, to build relationships with people. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, right? Disagree with me. I'd be happy to be disagreed with on this. But the reason why we get great results from this platform is because we've got the right mindset for it. We're not about giving loads of information about insurance as an example here, right? We're out here trying to showcase who we are as people and what we believe in. We don't really talk about the pains and the problems that people have got, because there's enough crap out there on news feeds, right? Giving you all this negative information. The news is a great outlet for it. I'm really going off on a rant here, aren't I? But again, this stuff is so, so true. We only really want to hear about positive stuff right now. The positive stuff, if you look at the news feed, that's the stuff that's traveling. Strong opinions are traveling. This educational, in-depth content, if you've not earned the right and you're someone that's really respected, unfortunately won't go anywhere. So what happens is you end up just getting ignored. And Eric is a prime example here. Like, Eric worked with us for just over a year. And this question at the top here, why should someone follow you, is something that you really need to think about if you want to succeed. You need to become someone worth following. You need to understand what your subject area is. And more importantly, what do you believe in as a human? Like, what do you want to talk about? What are you passionate about? What are you opinionated upon? Also, have a look at your audience. Go click into their profiles and click into their activity section and see what they're engaging in. Because there you can start to understand what you then need to create to be able to get the most amount of attention possible. And then take the time to look at what the gaps are. Because this is what we did for Eric. So Eric is a CEO coach that you can see here. And you can see his following went from 15,000 followers. He's now at over 55,000. I think he's even higher than that now, because that's an old screenshot. But like, Eric understood that no one really had his experience, right, in what he did. Like, he was absolutely flying. 117,000 followers, Sam's just said to me that Eric's got. Like, that's doubled again. This was only a few months ago, but he's done it by creating really unique types of content. Eric found stuff that no one had really ever spoken about before, and both in videos and also through carousels, not carousels, through documents, has really transformed his LinkedIn account. Eric has also collaborated really well. Eric did a few different interviews. He is the CEO coach for a gentleman called Ali Abdal, who's a productivity expert on YouTube. Some of you might know Ali, but Eric is his CEO coach. And that collaboration has also spiked his account up. The relationships that you can build on this platform are the things that can really take things to a whole new level. And this is something that we speak about to lots of people, but we also spoke about it to Jamie in a lot of detail. So if you're in property, you most likely have heard of Jamie. Like, he's very, very big on YouTube. And when we started working with him, we took a look at his education business, because I launched it with him. We did it together. And there were hundreds of property educators out there, hundreds of them. There's probably thousands now. And what we needed to work out, and this is something that you need to work out as well, is what Jamie's unfair advantage was. So you need to sit back and go, right, what's my unfair advantage? Jamie's unfair advantage, to give you an example, was the fact that he was a complete and utter geek when it came to property. And he was building his portfolio quicker than the majority of people out there in the training space were. Most people in the property training space stop investing because the training money is better than the investing money. Jamie did the opposite. Jamie's property trading business is absolutely flying, right? Absolutely flying. Nicola, could you ask that in the questions box for me? And I'll come back to you on that, because that's a good question. But you need to work out what yours was, because that was what enabled us to be able to spike Jamie's YouTube channel and also his LinkedIn account. We need to work out also how we could package up his offer to the point where people would really start to buy into it. And then, this is the big thing here, we had to commit to getting the best version of him out there on the internet. Lots of you will be able to relate to this, I'm sure. But when I started to create content, I felt really awkward, really stiff, really robotic, and I didn't like doing it. If you don't like creating content, unfortunately, you're going to really struggle. You've got to practice and find some way of being able to enjoy creating. The people that succeed in this, and you may not have heard someone say this before so bluntly, but the moment that I started to enjoy speaking, to enjoy starting to write and get stuff out there, was the start of everything starting to pick up for me. When I was creating content, I still have moments now. Like, when I treat content like a chore, like it's just something that I've got to do, no one engages with it. No one cares about it, because you know what? If I don't care about creating it, how on earth is someone reading going to care about it? People notice these things. And when you start to get this right, when you find the right content types that work for you, you can see the spike. Jamie's got nearly 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. His channel's only been live for a year and a half, consistently posting. He's also done millions of pounds in revenue. Now, he is an absolute monster when it comes to this stuff. Like, I've never known someone to work as hard. That is not my desire to build a business like that, right? Like, it's not to be the multi hundreds of £1 million business. That's not my kind of bag. However, he's gone out there and he's done it. He's taken the advice and he's going to do this, right? He's going to absolutely destroy this property education space. He's going to completely take over. And this sort of information is stuff that I spend lots of time speaking to people about. And at the end of today, I'm going to be offering you the chance to have a conversation with me. And again, what I'm going to do on that session is talk through the message that's going to grab the attention to your audience. So we're going to talk about that in detail. We're then going to review your current product and offer and the relevancy of it. We're going to talk about your current positioning and where you're at. And if you want one of those calls where we'll create that strategy, all you've got to just put is call in the chat box. Just put CALL, the word call, if you want one of those calls. And at the end of today, I'm going to give you a link to be able to book one into my calendar, and we'll go from there. So that is there for you. And again, at the end, I'm going to be giving you the link to be able to do that. So to wrap up clarity, slightly overrunning, but let's see if we can make up some time. I'm not going to read these out for you. They're there for you to be able to see. But the big one to sum up clarity for you is going to be, which one today? With everything that you do, point number 3, with everything that you do, ask yourself, why should people care? Now, that goes with your content, with your message. If you're sending messages and you look at it and you go, I can't actually really work out why someone would care about this message, then you need to stop and do something else, right? It's the best question to ask. With every post that you put out there, why should someone care? If there's nobody that's going to care about it, they're not going to engage in it, and therefore it's going to be wasting your time. So point number 3, that's the big one for today. That's part 1, right? So part 1 is clarity. Has clarity made sense and has it been helpful? Just give me a yes if it has in the chat box for me, mainly because I can just have a drink. Excellent. Okay, so let's get into connection. This is the activity part. This is the fundamentals part, and then we're going to go into conversion afterwards. There's 2 things that you need to do. Number 1 is you need to build out an audience. Number 2 is you then need to control it. Okay, they're the 2 things that we need to focus in on. I'm going to move that bar up there. The first bit is build. Okay, so there's 3 key activities that you need to do to be able to build. The first one I've spoken about in detail already, so I'm not going to spend too much longer on it, but it's network building. Pressing the connect button. It needs to be done every single day. You don't have the ability to do it on any other platform, so please make sure that you do it. Just from pushing buttons, I've gone from 5,000 connections to 15,000 now in just over 18 months. Right, I think it's just under 18 months now. You need to work out who you want to connect with. So what types of people do you need in your network that are potentially going to buy from you in the future? And then you need to max out your limits. LinkedIn now is giving some people the ability to connect with nearly 40 to 50 people a day. The limits are a lot larger. However, the average is around about 20 to 30. Max it out every day. There's no excuses. I'm a busy person, but I still max out my limits every single day because it's crucially important. And then with LinkedIn, drive people to other places. So I always recommend people to get a YouTube channel because the content that you put on there, especially because it builds up the dwell time, like the amount of time someone watches you, drive people to a place like YouTube. And what happens is you build up your subscriber base, you'll build up your watch time, and people then start to really binge watch you. And when that happens, people start to become really familiar with who you are and what you do. Out of interest, is there anybody on here that watches my YouTube videos? I'd just generally be curious in terms of the balance. But like I spend time creating those YouTube videos. And when you get over 1,000 subscribers, when you get over 4,000 hours of watch time, you then start earning money from YouTube as well. So you get paid for creating content. So like if you don't have a YouTube channel right now, and you combine this then with your LinkedIn audience building activity, you've got a really, really powerful combination. And this, again, this is just what we do in the academy. We get people every day just to document their number, right? For those of you that want the YouTube channel, if you type in on YouTube, Chris Taylor online, you'll see me come up. And there's loads of content on there for people to watch. But again, you can see this is what we do. We get people to track it. And by tracking it, it then grows. Okay, so that's network building. The second part is content creation. So again, on the right-hand side, you can have a read of that if you want. It's just Donna's result from just focusing on creating the right content. So from 500 impressions on average that she was getting with one post, just following our headline trick, she got over 7,300 impressions that you can see here. We need to stop posting boring and bland information. We also need to stop selling. because to grow an audience, we need to stand something, like really stand for something. And what I want you to really think about here is how can you improve your content creation skills? If you want to do this properly, it's something that you need to improve on. And it's something that I'm practicing pretty much at least once a week. I'm taking time to create videos. I spend around about an hour a week creating a video. They're like head to camera like this, and I talk in front of a microphone. And then I also think about how can I get exposure to other people's audiences. So I go to networking events. I speak online at other people's groups. I speak online on other people's podcasts. And I'm looking at taking the time. It's something that you can all do, right? Get a piece of paper out and write down and go and do the research to find 20 podcasts that your ideal client are listening to. Right? It's so simple. And then literally go and search for the hosts of those podcasts and message them to say, look, I've got something cool to say. I think your audience would find good value from it. I'd be more than happy if you ever get a gap in your diary to be interviewed on your podcast for half an hour. That gets you in front of them. And it's a way of being able to grow your audience at speed. And growth comes from really talking about the right things. And again, you can see here, like the examples happen over and over again. When you start creating the right content, messages asking on how to work with you will happen. This wasn't a post about anything specific about the industry, right? This was a post that Zoe did about her support dog, right? 133,000 impressions this post got. Like, it's absolutely mad what you can create on this platform and how much traction it can get. And these were the sorts of messages that she was receiving. Just watch a short video. I'm intrigued to know more. Of considerable experience with dogs and considering investment opportunities. So it doesn't post about property. She posts about the stuff that she believes in, what she's connected to. And with that, she gets the results that everyone's looking for. It's the same thing with us. We don't post nitty gritty information really about what we do. Like, we showcase like how passionate we are and what we're doing day to day and what we believe in. And more importantly, like what we really champion. Like, what are the things that you want to talk about that you're really opinionated on? What happens when you do that is people then start inquiring with you. Like, these messages we get literally every single day inside of our community, right? Like, huge support. I've landed a contract to run 2 masterclasses at $3.5 grand with an organization I didn't even know existed, just due to increased LinkedIn visibility. But this is the sort of stuff that I post, right? Like the stuff about documenting my journey, like I mentioned. This is the stuff that really, I just showcase like how credible we are at what we do. You can print screen this if you want. The replay will be out there for you if you want to watch it, right? But what I'm doing here is just showcasing like how powerful like our journey has been. This was back when I had my Airbnb business, and it was so simple to do. This stuff traveled everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And again, the same thing here, like with Philippa, the way that she did it, she spoke, I can't remember what it was that she spoke directly about. I think it was about recruiting people with learning difficulties. She's a recruitment consultant. And again, like, she spoke about something that might be classified as slightly controversial, right? But she went from 7,096 followers to 7,600. The post got 458,000 impressions. That's better than I've ever got. This is the stuff that blows my mind with this stuff, because it's not that difficult. If you go and speak to Philippa or you message her, you say she just did the basics well. And this is what everyone needs to focus in on and do, because I can't shout this loud enough. Like, it's not hard. It's just about taking that bit of time to think. And then the third bit is engagement. So engagement is something that can seem really pointless, but really commenting on people's content is really, you get out what you put in. So I know it can seem a bit tedious. I don't like doing it, but I force myself to do it because, do you know what? Like, the thing that everybody wants when they put a piece of content out, I don't care if you're the CEO of Royal Mail or if you're a startup in New York, the one thing that you want when you put a bit of comment out is someone to comment on it. That's all you want. And the first 5 to 10 people that comment every time, tell me if I'm wrong, but you go and look who they are. Oh, Tim's commented, or Simon's commented, or Nicholas commented, or Ben's commented. Like, you remember the names if it happens over and over again. If you compare that to how many messages people receive in their inboxes, I guarantee you're more likely to remember someone that's left you a comment than someone that's sent you a direct message. So therefore, why are we spending time sending pointless sales messages when actually commenting is what gets people's attention? It's simple, right? However, we're not doing it. So what we've got to do is use this to our advantage and look to start commenting tactically. That's how we get the real attention that we're looking for. And when you get the combination of that right, this is really where it changes. So this is a gentleman called Matt Fletcher. I'm not sure if Matt's here today. Sometimes he attends. But Matt attended one of our masterclasses a couple of years ago. And this is the sort of stuff that he posts. Now, I can't remember the gentleman's name that was in insurance before, but if you're still there, just say hello for me. If you think insurance is boring, think about engineering, right? Engineering is not the most sexy of topic whatsoever. However, he does have the advantage. Hi, Blair, good to see you, right? But he does have the advantage of something that's visual. You can make what you do visual. Think about all the messy insurance claims that have gone out there in the world, or in the news that's out there, all the big catastrophes, all the big disaster. You can start giving opinions on that, depending on what situation you're in. This is what Matt does. He literally captures stuff that he's doing. And again, 100,000 views that he got on that. 8,000 profile views he got. This is completely outperforming what I get. It completely drowns me in terms of activity. It is incredible what happens. And this was the email that he sent to Sam. Like literally just from sharing some positive news after the course he went through, took on 18 new customers that month, all have come through LinkedIn. And again, he was really surprised to see his profile views. Since the pandemic hit, worked to post something each weekday. First peak was around 129,000 views, right? Incredible work, 18 new customers. We then got that one. I wanted to share some news and give you a bit of an update, if you don't mind. I've had 1 million plus deal done recently. Guess where the customer found me? Yep, we've seen you on LinkedIn. If this stuff isn't really shining a light and telling you how important it is right now, this opportunity, this email right here, I don't know what will. This like shocks and scares me what opportunity there is. I know I'm not doing enough because I've not had that. And this is what's here when you get this right. So building your audience up isn't difficult. Network building, creating your content, and then engaging. 3 things that you've got to do, but you've just got to do them well. Then you've then got to start taking control of your audience. So there's one thing building an audience up on LinkedIn, but you've then got to find a way of being able to lift them off that platform and take them somewhere else. Here's a prime example, right? We have LinkedIn events that really attract people to our events and these workshops. We also have our email list. Out of an interest, for those of you that are still here, where did you come from today? Did you find out about this event from the LinkedIn event, or was it via an email, right? This is where the real power of this all is, right? Was it email or was it the event? Which one was it? Normally, it's around a 70-30 split for email, and the same is happening today. There's actually a few more LinkedIn events than I thought today, actually, that would come through, but the majority is around about 60% today has come from email. Once we have an email address, we can continuously market. Now, to really emphasize this point, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change this so you can chat to everyone quickly, so you can all pile in, right? You should see now the ability to change the chat box, to talk to everyone. Can you just let me know, is this the first time that you've attended one of my workshops, or is it the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th? Right, you should be able to change it. Right, you'll be able to see the LinkedIn event is typically right at the first. You can see everything. Most of you are sending it to hosts and panelists still. Some of you are changing it. But again, with this, right, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th time have all typically come from email, right, in terms of how it's working, which is amazing to see. But again, I've got a lot of new people here today, which is even better. The team have done well, right? But lots of people, I've just switched that back to hosts and panelists now because we have some rogue comments come through at some point. But again, with this, the amazing thing is that once you have an email list, you can continuously promote to people. You can send them more value. Right? This is the power of this stuff. So yes, one thing having them on LinkedIn, but you've got to move them off it. And this is where prospecting comes in. So what we ask you to do is create a message that pulls people closer to you. We look at crafting a message that is going to increase the touch points and also increase the dwell time. And what we do as a business is provide 4 big pieces of value before a sale can even be made. So we have our free content that goes out on YouTube. We have our lead magnet, so the 100 content ideas guide. And we have a guide that we give away that gives you 100 content ideas. If you want that, by the way, just put the number 100 in the chat and my team will send you a guide that's got 100 content ideas in. But you've got the lead magnet, which is the 100 content ideas. We then have this workshop. We have loads of workshops that we give and run. And we then also have the strategy call that we offer at the end. So there's 4 big pieces of value. That's 4 big touch points, but also lots of dwell time, right? This is an hour long. You probably watch some YouTube content beforehand. If you download the guide, you'll spend time reading that. Like that's about building up dwell time. So you start to realize how good we are at what we do. And then what happens is when we collect the email, we have the ability to promote again. So this is my template. This is what I send. It's a bit different now. However, this is the one that I used to send. And you can see here, when I'm sending messages to people, I don't want a conversation. I don't want in-depth conversations. I don't have time. What I want is people to go and watch some really valuable content if they feel that they need what we do. If they don't, that's completely on them. So I send them to a YouTube video, which has got a LinkedIn profile tutorial. And I also then send them to the content guide, right? Everyone wants this content guide. It's great. It's a great tool. And if you don't have a lead magnet, which have loads of people like really wanting what it is that you're giving away for free, then you need to change it. David, do you mind just emphasizing on that for me? That would be really good. Thank you. So this is just an example here of kind of how the prospecting works and how it works. This is a lady called Alison. You can go and have a look at her online. But I think it was an event campaign we went with for her, but you can see this as we go through. But again, we took some time to speak about her webinar structure and her event structure and how it was going to work. She had 150 LinkedIn registrations. She only had 13 sign up for Zoom, but like she wanted some help. So we jumped on a call and we spoke about her webinar and we made some changes to it, right? This is really how we're looking at this now. I've done a practice recording so you have a check through as mentioned on Friday. So I get her to do a practice recording and get her to send it to me. You can see there, like on the Tuesday, I went back and I watched it for her. I then gave her some feedback of kind of like how that she can improve and where she can get better. Like transition into the pitch was really, really good, but it's just framing the message that was different. So really appreciate the feedback. And again, you can see here, this was the 23rd of May that this message was sent. Then I can't see the date because there's the bar at the top. But Thursday, June the 1st, got two new clients off the back of that webinar change. Right? This is where this works. Because just changing a slight framing message with the right campaign, with the right process, that's where you can start to go through. And you can see at the bottom there, it's just trust the process. Okay, really, really simple. But can you see the power of this, right? Let me know if you can. Can you see the power of just getting subtle, small things right? But when you do, that's where the power of this comes into play. So here's some top tips for connection for you. Again, I'm not going to read them out. They're there for you. But the one that I'm going to go into in a bit more detail is the emotions wheel. So do you remember I mentioned Donna before? Donna did a piece of content where she was getting 500 impressions. She then got 7,000 off one post. Donna used the emotion wheel hack. So what we basically say for every headline, what you need to do is go and Google the emotions wheel. It's not our tool. It's a very well-known tool. And within your headline, the first 6 words in your post, pick one of the emotions on the outside of that wheel and put it in your headline. Here's a prime example that Nick did. So Nick was talking about a conversation that he had with a staff member. He wanted to do a post about it. And it wasn't the best of conversations that he had, but he could have done a post which basically said, just had a conversation with a staff member, and then goes through and writes about the staff conversation. Instead, rather than that being the headline, he switched it to, I'm disgusted with the conversations I have with my staff this week. Can you see the difference with you just using the word disgusted, right? The difference of just using that emotion completely changes the way that the platform will consider and push it, because as humans, we're more likely to react to it. That emotions wheel is where you can get it through. Mohammed, it's on his profile. I've just spoken the example out for you. So that's connection. Now, part 3 is all around conversion, right? This is the final part of today. And my job, right, is not to make you like me. I don't really care if you like me on this or not. My job is to tell you the truth, and I hope that's all right. People, in my opinion, are just wasting so much time on this platform. They create content that no one engages with. They're running lives to nobody, and they think that eventually people will turn up. They're sending messages and getting no responses, and they receive comments like this. You're so good at what you do, but then the people never go on to buy from them. They receive great feedback from all of the content that they do, but then don't see that person going on to purchase. I know lots of you will relate to that. And they're working hard. Like, I get it. People are putting in the efforts, but they're just putting the efforts in the wrong places. And this is something that I spoke to Lloyd's Bank about in Manchester a few months ago, right? This is something that we really reiterated. It's time to really reflect around what we're doing and where we're spending our time, because that's what most people's inboxes look like these days. They are full of spam nonsense. Give me a yes if your inbox looks like that. Spammed full of sales messages that you never open, you never care about, and most likely you delete. This is the problem. So what we've got to do is work out a way of getting the attention. And what I've touched on today is the first part of how you can do that. When I speak with people, The biggest reason out of them all as to why people fail on this platform is because they lack that. They lack a process, okay? The process of taking a stranger to a customer. And this is what we really work towards. Mike, yes, there will be 100%. The best way to explain it to you is just to show you. So this is Donna, right? Donna is an in-house lawyer and leadership coach. And when she first started working with us, she had elements of this process in place. Important thing, she'd worked with other marketing people before. Now, some of you may have had this before where you've spent money on marketing and social media training, but then haven't seen the results. This is something that is really a frustrating thing for lots of people. But when I looked at Donna's process, I noticed straight away there were things that we needed to change. These were the gaps. And let me know if you've got these sorts of gaps as well. She'd been using LinkedIn regularly, but she wasn't getting really any engagement on her content because she wasn't talking the right language. She had no conversion piece of content in place. So she was just doing the LinkedIn activity and that was it. She wasn't leading people anywhere. She was trying to sell in direct messages, trying to start conversations that no one wanted to have with her, rather than driving traffic to a conversion piece of content. And she wasn't showing off how great she was. She was putting in way too much effort and had no clear way of identifying what was working, what wasn't, because she had no data. All she had was the LinkedIn data, which doesn't really tell you very much. And therefore, what we had to do was look out and work out how she was going to make a difference. And we work with everyone on a 6-week plan. So within 6 weeks, you have all of this done. Donna chose an event campaign, a webinar campaign, just like you're on right now. And what we did was we looked at this process here. Take a screenshot of this if you want it. But we looked at it and like, that's what she had in place. She had a profile, she was network building, she had a message, and she did have a lead magnet, but no one was downloading it. So the 6-week plan took that process there and gave her everything that was in green. We got that all created within 3.5 weeks. That was the process that we went through. It took a couple of hours a week and we got there. 6 hours in total and it was done. But that was what we did. We built out the process step by step. And you can see here, I review everything from the presentations to the recordings to content to profiles, me and the team really working this step by step. So we crafted the message that helped us stand out. We worked out what her conversion piece of content needed to be. We worked out her email campaigns because you need email campaigns. We created a high value lead magnet. And then we told her that she needed to remove everything else that doesn't apply to this process and then 100% commit to following it. Nothing else, just do this. And as a result of doing that, she then had a converting process that was easily to be repeated. Her first workshop generated just over 6 grand in sales within 3 hours. She set a date for her next one. And we then knew exactly what she needed to improve. So then she can get that done to improve her numbers on the next time. You can see here, this was back in November, 80 people registered, 33 attended, 2 people have booked the application. She then signed up 2 people 3 days later. Feels awesome, want to go to the pub to celebrate. We then had like an online pub thing on Zoom where we had a drink together and we just celebrated it. Back in March, she then ran another one. Just ran my masterclass with the changes. All 5 places were booked out before I finished. She changed a bit of scarcity with it and they scrambled to get them. This is not a one-off. This happens over and over and over and over again. You can see them here. I'm not going to read them for you, right? There's a couple of headlines that are in there. 6K package to a 35K deal, sign £8,000 directly with how it was working. Like, it is relentless. Ran my first webinar this morning, 85 registered, 26 turned up, 7 calls booked, 2 clients signed up. Another one here, 1 call booked directly, people literally glowing about how much they got from the session. Another one here, again, first webinar that was ran, right? Thanks for the training, big shout out. This is kind of how it worked. This is what we do every time. Like, we have people running these events time and time and time again, and we do it every single week. We jump on a Monday and a Thursday, and we talk about this as a group to be able to start improving and making sure that we're always moving forward, okay? So with conversion, it's so important to follow these points. They're all here. You've got to get this process in place. Don't guess your way to success. If you're guessing right now, it's so easy to make the change. People aren't on LinkedIn to buy products, right? They're on there because they're bored or for their own selfish reasons. So just don't forget it, okay? You can screenshot that so you've got it. The recording will be up as well. So to start generating that consistent flow of leads that you're looking for, you don't need to be posting hundreds of pieces of content. What you need is a process in place that nurtures, to get people to the point where they want to buy. You need a promotional plan in place to generate that traffic consistently. Because the reality is, like, I know how passionate you probably are about what you do, but we need to get your business and your process to a point where it gives you the results that you need. And that's where I want to talk about like the academy and how it works. Everybody that I've spoken to you about today has gone through the academy, and it won't take long. And you're not going to be able to buy this, by the way. Like, you have to book your call in, and then from there we can work out if it's the right fit for both of us. But this is where you work with us, and we will hold your hand to get this set up. We used to do this over 3 days, but however, we do this all online now, and it is so intense in terms of how it works. Like, we will give you everything that you need to get this to work. And what we do is we take you through a series of roadmaps. So that 6-week plan is a specific roadmap. And what we're going to do is create your product offering. So we're going to reframe what you're selling so it stands out. We're then going to get your ideal clients to start paying more attention and getting to really understand what it is that you're doing. So we're going to look at your content, your profiles, your websites, your landing pages. We're going to look at everything to get it right. We're then going to pick the campaign that's best for you. Some of you might want to run a webinar. In the chat box, by the way, let me know if a webinar is something that you'd like to run. Just put yes if it is. You feel that you could run yourself a little webinar like this and get people going through it. We're then going to start looking at like generating traffic like effectively, so you can start building your audience quickly. And then we're going to nurture it. So the roadmap takes you through from how to take a stranger to a customer consistently month on month. Okay. This is the process I showed you at the beginning that we take you through. We take you through clarity, connection, content control, conversion, and clothes. This is the different types of campaigns that you can run. On the right-hand side is where we'll focus for the majority of you, an event or an added value campaign. Both of them work really well, but they're the two that we need to really get right. The ones on the left are a little bit different, but I can talk to you about those on the call that we have. And this is the process that we implement into your business. So you can see on the left, product, offer, and message, goes through all of the social media activity, goes through email marketing, goes through how to then convert. And we also do sales training in here as well. So we teach you how to close properly, how to have great conversations, how to not feel salesy. That's what I hate about it. I don't want to sit there thinking like I'm persuading and convincing people. And that's the plan that we take you through, like I say, if you want to run a webinar campaign. So week 1 through to week 6, and you have everything set up. The most important thing is that every step of the way, you complete the work and we will review it for you. Yes, there is, Mohammed, in a second. We will review it for you. We will tell you what you've done well and, more importantly, where you need to improve. Again, the feedback is there all over the internet for you to see, just to see how it works. But again, you can see first sales are made pretty much within a couple of weeks for the majority of these people. It is application only. And again, I've got so many things in here to go through, but just to give you the academy package, you work with us for 12 months, right? So you work with us initially for the year, and then it's a monthly rolling subscription. You get personalized feedback every step of the way. So we look at your landing pages, your offer, your content, your sales process. We review it all for you. You get exclusive access to our Slack channels for accountability. Accountability is the big thing. With most people, when they go on to training programs like I did, you buy a course and then you're left to try and do it on your own. What we do is we proactively manage you through this process. We will hold you accountable to get this work done. We will set you deadlines, and those deadlines need to be met. We will give you rewards for doing them, and there also is little bits of punishment if you don't. We need to hold ourselves accountable. Every week on a Monday and a Thursday, we have weekly mentoring calls, and also you get all of the templates. So you get our presentation templates, our email templates, our content templates, like anything that you need to be able to get this campaign working, there is a template for it. And we also run bi-weekly challenges. So we like to gamify a lot of the stuff that what we do, where you can win like one-to-one time with me, clarity sessions. You can win your emails being written for you, your landing pages being written for you. They're all there. And all of that is for the price of £150 a month. So like, this is the way that we work it. Like, it's very, very accessible to everyone. We give you all the feedback that you need. And what I really want to reiterate is the support that you get. Like, we have over 270 people in the community now. We're always sharing ideas, whether it's profiles, messages, campaigns, lead magnets. Put it into the channel and you'll get feedback from it. Because quite frankly, we're fed up of seeing people waste time on these platforms, right? If you commit to us, you've gone through this process now. Either you've come from the event or you've come from the email. You've gone through this process now. And if you feel like this is right for you, know that it works, okay? This is the sort of feedback that we give you. So we will watch your webinars, we will read your lead magnets, and you will get bullet point by bullet point feedback, personalized feedback of where you need to change. You can see the bold bit here. You have this slide at the 26-minute mark, but it needs to be much earlier on to dangle the carrot in front of your audience. This stuff we're doing day in and day out, right? Bullet point by bullet point feedback, so you know exactly what you need to do. This is just the detail that we provide, and this is where you can get the results from it. time and time again, we spent hours looking at your stuff to make sure that you get the right stuff in place. And again, this came through literally just today, right? We had one call, sorted out the funnel structure, and with it signed up 2 clients. That was before I went on my holiday. This stuff is just for 150 quid a month. You work with us for the year and you move forward. If you want to check us out online, we are literally everywhere. You can go and check out the reviews. But I have one rule and one rule only if you commit to working with us. It's the fact that you do exactly what Donna says, right? Here, just do what we say. Don't just follow it to the letter. And from that, you'll get the control and the clarity back that you need. Same thing that Angie said. Right at the bottom, if you ever work with Chris, it's very simple. Just listen and do and trust the process. Those are on my profile. You can go and read them if you want to read the full detail of it. These were the stats from Angie's most recent webinar, and 26 calls booked in at the end of the first one just by following the process. So here's the chance for you to book your call in, right? There's 15 calls available. You'll see the times on Calendly to be able to book. All you've got to do is scan that QR code. And there's a couple of questions that you need to fill out. So I've got the information on your business to be able to run through that strategy session with you. If that QR code's not working, if someone could test it to make sure it works for me, that would be great. But in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the link. It's pipeline44.com/apply. Really simple. Okay, it's first come, first serve. Once the call slots are gone, they're gone. We onboard people in cohorts if you decide to join. So I can only take on 20 people per cohort. We have 15 calls available because some people will watch the replay. And again, just to summarize it all for you, it's there for you. The biggest thing is that you get the training, the accountability, and someone that's going to look over your shoulder and review everything that you do to make sure that it's right. You can't go wrong as long as you talk to us. And then a little bit of a bonus for you. For the first 5 people that book on, secure your call, and you also then join the academy. So it's right for us. You'll also get a clarity call for me. So an in-depth session with me looking over your business, right? So I'll look at it from beginning to end. I'll look at your message in detail, your process in detail. I'll look at your webinars in detail. And that's for the first 5 people to come on. So with that, there's the QR code. There's a lot of questions that have come in that I'll go through in a second. But just let me know in the chat box, just use an emoji or something because it's easy. But has that been helpful? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if it's been helpful for you. Really grateful for you all showing up. Good stuff. Good. Here we go. The emojis are coming. Excellent work. Right then. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull up the Q&A box on here. Let's go through it. Losing my voice today. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Alicia, when you exhaust your weekly limit connection list, can you send in-mail messages and add in if they respond? When you exhaust your weekly connection list, can you send in-mail messages and add them if they respond? You can, but I wouldn't send in-mail messages. They're a waste of time and you don't get many of them. There's a different approach. You're in the academy, Alicia, so just message in the Slack channel and we'll come back to you on that. Sam will be able to work with you on that. Simon, what do I mean by pressing buttons? What I mean by it is going on to LinkedIn, going on and finding someone that you want to connect with. So searching for CEOs or founders or maintenance people, whoever it is you're looking to connect with, and going out there and building your audience as simple as going out there and pressing connect over and over again, just by pressing the buttons. That's what I mean. Nicola, you said you don't use static images. Are Eric's posts with documents? Yes, Eric's posts are all document posts. So multiple images all put into one. So he creates them on Canva, downloads them as a PDF, and then uploads from there. Great. How can I get people to also follow my company page? Company pages are a little bit weak. They don't really have that much of a bigger effect, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. However, you get a certain amount of invites per week that you can send. So max out your invites to your page. But if you really want to grow it, like you can run sort of workshops like these, or you can go to networking events. And again, you can have a QR code that sends people to your company page. What you've got to answer is, why should people follow it in the first place? People aren't going to follow a page for no reason. So what are they going to get out of following it? Are they going to be entertained? Are they going to be educated? Are they going to be inspired? They're the 3 things really that you want to do with a company page or any form of page, actually any form of profile. But I would also advise you to focus in on your personal profile over your company page, because that's what's going to get you much better return on your time spent. Nicola, is there a quicker way of finding ideal clients who are active on LinkedIn so you have opportunities to comment on their posts? Yes, so you can use Sales Navigator to do this. So you can build out a list of the people. That gives you then your own customized news feed for you to be able to engage in. So once they're added to your list, from there, their content only will appear in that newsfeed section. That's on Sales Navigator. Otherwise, unfortunately, there's not. That's the main way to do it. Good to see you, Michael. See you soon. Sonia, what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is something that you give away for free in exchange for an email address. So it's an ethical bribe. So here is our 100 content ideas guide for free, but we need your email address to be able to send it to you. David, can my partner attend as well? Yes, 100%. And we encourage that, definitely. Nicola, do DMs ever feature in your process? Yes, I send around about 20 to 30 direct messages a day. You saw the template on there that we send. How many messages can we send in LinkedIn on one day? Where did that message go? Where'd it go? How many messages can we send in LinkedIn in one day at once? So the maximum I've ever got to is 100, and then I've got bored. So I've never maxed it out and been banned for it. I just got bored and stopped. So I've got to 100, but you could potentially do more. I've not got there before. David, yes, he can or she can attend the academy sessions as well. Can you upload personal highlights, or is LinkedIn's best left for business highlights? Personal highlights, definitely, Tony, definitely. Ben, you've asked, I thought it was per week. What did you say per week? Just let me know, sorry. How can we increase our LinkedIn connection request limit? Sanjeev, no one knows this, no one knows it. However, you've just got to test and max it out, and it will grow over time, but it will always hit a limit. So it will always tell you to stop at some point because it doesn't want to see you spamming out to connect with people. Emma has asked, Neil, not the CEO, but does all this approach work selling the business work for small? Yes, it does, Neil, yes. When doing webinars, do you feel it's best to do these through LinkedIn events rather than through Eventbrite? Yes, Emma, I 100% do, because Eventbrite, I saw very little to results. Plus, you can't invite people through a social media platform and have the algorithm then push it out to more people. So the most powerful thing with LinkedIn events is the fact that if you've said you're coming to that LinkedIn event, that notifies your network that you're going to it as well. So we have exposure to your network as well. Okay, so really important that. Martin, when you say partners can attend as well, is that only romantic? Business partners, Martin, was actually what I was on about rather than romantic. But I mean, if you want to bring your romantic partner to it, then feel free, not a problem. Connection requests per week. So it is per week, Ben. So I split it down into daily activity because quite frankly, I get bored doing it, like maxing it like out once per week. I just do it every day for like 10 minutes and I get it done. But yes, your connection request limit refreshes every week. Clinton, what do you believe is the best duration for webinars? Not this long. I tell you, I've overrun by about 17 minutes, by about an hour. So the rule is if you're selling a product that's between £1,000 and £10,000, around about an hour works. Anything over £10,000, you need more of a 2-hour, 3-hour session. If you're selling a low ticket item, half an hour maximum. So there's your guideline for it. Okay. You may have noticed that I've sped up there just to try and get through and not hold you for too long. So for those of you that have booked your calls, I will speak to you on the call when we go through. We've had quite a lot of you go through here, which is great. So I'll speak to a number of you when you've gone through. If you have any questions at all, obviously just drop me a note on LinkedIn. We should all be connected by now. But I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, then just let me know. David, I'll answer your question quickly now. Is there any problem linking TikTok links to LinkedIn? If you're driving people from LinkedIn to another social media platform, it's not a problem, but the post won't go very far because LinkedIn wants people to stay on its own platform. So if you're driving people elsewhere, it won't perform particularly well. Mohammed, I have 9K connections, have just started a new business on business process automation. Now I do business from the US. Is it possible business from LinkedIn, although from Asia? Yes, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. We have people in Asia that work in the academy with us. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you very much for showing up today and engaging with me. It makes it really a lot more fun. It's nothing worse than talking to yourself on these things. But if you have any questions, you know where I am. For those of you that have booked your calls in, I'll speak to you on those calls. Have a great day, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.